Welcome to the Reticle Up podcast, where I, 3-Gun Kenzie, will be interviewing competitive shooters, hunters, fishermen, archers, entrepreneurs, and outdoorsmen. Come learn with me as I interview people from all walks of life, in different disciplines, all across the world, from novices to professionals of all ages. No matter what, everyone has something they can teach you, so come join me on the journey. Welcome back, Reticle Up podcast listeners. This is going to be a very fun episode. Let me give you a little preface here. So I have my friend Brooke on, and Brooke and I met so weird, but not weird anymore, through the internet, through social media. So she has a background in shooting USPSA. She's actually an iron sights lover, which God bless her, good for her. And then we're going to talk about it tonight on this episode, whenever you're listening today, whatever, about how she decided to text me that she wanted to shoot 3-gun. And so what happens when you send 3-gun Kenzie a text that way, saying that you get entered into 3-gun. So Brooke, thank you for being brave in 3-gun and for coming on this podcast to talk about it.
Thank you so much for having me. Brave is definitely the word.
100%. I would say you have big cojones, more than most men I know, for doing what you did.
It was definitely not easy.
No. So let's bring it back to where I don't even really know how you got started. So before we even connect on Instagram, which I want to talk about kind of how that brought us together too, but I want to know what got you really into firearms, and then what made you go shoot your very first match, and was it USPSA? I don't even know if it was USPSA or something else.
Yeah, so I grew up in Wyoming. So I, was around mostly rifles and hunting, and I went out with my grandpa and my dad, and that was kind of my introduction to shooting. I actually only ever went out and hunted and actually shot my own deer once. I do have the mount here in North Carolina with me. I'm very proud of it. But that was kind of my introduction. Throughout high school, and honestly, even elementary, we went out and shot prairie dogs, because we have a big problem with them where I live. And so I even one day asked my father, "Hey, Dad, can I skip school?" And he asked me why. And I said, "Well, my friends, Renell and Leslie and I are going to go out and shoot prairie dogs at Renell's house." And he's like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." So that was kind of where it all started. Then as I went into college and kind of left home, I really didn't shoot for a long time, probably 10 years, just not for any particular reason. Yeah, just, not opportunities, and wasn't necessarily prevalent in my life at the time. And then I met my husband. And he is retired Army, did a lot of shooting, has loved it his entire life, big hunter, all of those things. And I wanted to start doing things with him that he liked doing, not just what I liked doing. And so he was like, "All right, I want to go out to the range." And so he kind of almost reintroduced me to firearms and shooting and all of those things. And so we went out because I was more familiar with rifles, started with a little 17 and kind of worked our way up. And one of the things that he did, and I don't know if you know this, purple is my favorite color.
I don't know if you know this.
Just in case you wondered.
Everything. I get it though. Blue is my thing. I get it.
And so he kind of lured me in with getting me a really beautiful custom purple stock for my 17. And from there it just progressed. I started shooting, more of his 1911s and just getting out there. We have friends who shot competitively and didn't really know it. But Jason was "Yeah, I want to start shooting competitions." And, they were "You should start with Steel Challenge. You basically, not that you can't DQ yourself, but the rule set is a lot easier." There's less things to really mess up and get yourself into trouble. And so I actually started shooting competitions with Steel Challenge.
Okay.
And that has now progressed to USPSA and now 3-gun.
I gotta walk it back to you for people listening. My favorite text too was that my husband is so upset that I'm the one getting the 3-gun before he does, and I'm like, hell yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
did my job. Like that was the goal, and I love it. Yeah, I still want him to shoot it too, right? But it's a win in my book when it's like the female went first. She did it first. Like hell yeah.
Oh yeah, I do like to rub that in too. Like,
and you did really, really, really well. Really well.
I have my own issues with it, but I feel very good about what I did. Just because I'm a perfectionist, I like to do things right, and there were definitely some things that were not right.
If you look at practice score from that, so we shot the Zoo City Fall Brawl. Go ahead and look it up on practice score if you know what that is. You will see that and no one did a penalty-free match. Now I know Matt Kalish, I think Battle for the South had a penalty-free match, so he actually shot 0 penalties. So that's pretty impressive. But you can watch like that funny video like John Wellell posted. He was done shooting the stage, and then he realized he's like, "Oh, I didn't shoot that target." Boom, and still had a penalty because he had one shot that he fired right, but had like I think not the A. But it's funny because the best shooters in the country are going to have penalties, right? Like you're pushing speed. There's aerial clay targets. Like once those are gone, you know?
Yeah. Oh, aerial clays.
Okay. So I don't want to go down that yet. Okay. So I want to walk back to USPSA and stuff because it was a good entry. I think like we'll still challenge for sure, right? Like that's a good place to learn your gun safety rules, your gun handling rules, and especially like working on drawing, I think from like a holster. Did you start out in a 22 division or centerfire?
So I started out in 22 and just kind of started there and then started shooting centerfire actually more when I started shooting USPSA.
Gotcha.
I did PCC in Steel Challenge as well, but I don't shoot that in USPSA.
You should. It's just so fun. So fun. Okay, cool. So that's what I wanted to get the background, and I think that's a great progression into the shooting sports. Maybe not USPSA to 3-gun so fast, but like I'm proud of you because you have to make the leap at some point, right? But how much did shooting or like how much did those sports like teach you how to move under pressure, you know, handle your guns, clear malfunctions? And then honestly, did you have a lot of testing of guns and gear like I did and ammo?
So as far as like the shooting and moving and clearing malfunctions, I think Steel Challenge was probably where I learned to clear malfunctions the best.
22.
I did it, and you know, I think it's, you know, having, you know, shooting a 22 in cold weather with cold ammo, you know, trying, you know, those really made me honestly think about clearing malfunctions more. And USPSA definitely was where I figured out how to shoot and move and make a stage plan and go anywhere from there. Because if I wouldn't have had that, I don't want to know what 3-gun would have looked like. But that's, you know, that, and then, you know, doing practice, going and practicing with my husband and with friends that we have was where I learned some of those, like, hey, don't do this or you're going to flag yourself. Hey, don't do this or you're going to DQ. And I think that made a big difference, you know, not just shooting them specifically, but, you know, I hate to say it, but going out and practicing.
Yep.
I feel like those are dirty words. We all should do it, but we don't do it enough.
Yes. Did you spend a lot of time too dry firing at home, or like was your opportunity really to shoot at matches?
So I am really bad at dry firing.
Okay. It's okay to admit.
You know, I feel like I should like hang my head in shame. But you know, most of it came from shooting matches. We shoot a match like every weekend. We're out, you know, sometimes 2 in a weekend doing that. And that's really where most of it came from.
Yeah. And you guys both, I mean, y'all reload your pistol ammunition too. So I'm sure there was a learning curve because that's something I do not. This is a wall ornament behind me for people watching. Oh, wall ornament.
So I do not reload. I do not reload. My husband does all of it, and I'm very lucky because I couldn't. He has all the patience in the world, and I do not. So I'm lucky that he makes my ammo and makes it to what I like, and very happy with that.
Okay, so with USPSA and going to 3-gun, there was a big change for you, which was learning the red dot optic, because let me explain a little bit, because it's kind of like a two-for podcast to just explain like my thought process and getting Brooke into this, right? Is I started 3-gun with iron sights on a rifle, which was so dumb. Think about shooting at that time, it was just 400 yards, but 400 yards with iron sights, I didn't hit the broadside of a barn. But I shot a Glock, which had no work done to it whatsoever, iron sights on it, and then I had a tube shotgun. Don't do it my way. I had no extension. I had no port work done. I just really wanted to shoot. And I had 3 guns, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to make it work. I was like, you know what? If Brooke's going to have fun, and you didn't time out except for, I think, on 2 stages, if Brooke's going to go have fun and not time out and really enjoy 3-gun, I want to make it as easy as possible. And so we put you in open division. I don't know the rules enough, which is really bad because I should, but I don't even think that you have to shoot with an optic and 3-gun to be in open division, unlike where if you shoot like limited optics in USPSA, like you're required to have a red dot, right? Mm-hmm. So technically, I think you could have shot your irons, but I know you dry fired a little bit with that. What was the learning curve that you surprised you the most on having to learn the dot? What was that like?
So I have hated red dots or dots, green dots, whatever it is, for a very long time. I would try, and it just made me angry, and so I was happy with my iron sights. I was so happy. Oh, just the thought of like going back to like trying to learn it just makes me sick. But really, I think the hardest part was figuring out where my focus could be, what I had to look at, and if I wouldn't have had, the time to dry fire and kind of figure out like, honestly, like, where do I find the red dot in there? It was just all over. And I think that was for sure the hardest piece of it, was just trying to honestly find the red dot in the glass.
Yeah. What people don't know, and they give red dot shooters like a really hard time, is that learning the red dot is actually just as hard as learning iron sight shooting, because the way a dot sits, whether you could have an optic plate, it could be a like direct mount onto the gun. You could have a higher rise gun where the plate sits, above the slide. That presentation, especially for everyone sees a little bit differently, is going to be a challenge at first. So like that piece, I don't know if you want to speak more to that too. Like, how did you figure out what worked for you, especially using my guns? I know that wasn't the best thing because you had to end up using one of my guns, but we won't go into that yet. Talk about that process for people transitioning, because you are that person that's transitioned from like iron to dot. Like, what do they need to be doing?
I think that you have to remember that you're still finding your sights. It's not necessarily that you have to fish around. Some of it was literally just for me, like getting out, like, where do I see it? How, the more that I could index and just do it, the easier it was for me to find that dot without fishing around. Now, did I still do some fishing? Absolutely. But have I learned to love the dot? Yes, I have. I can't even imagine now shooting 3-guns very specifically without a red dot. I think that I would go crazy. Yes. Some of those pistol shots that we had to take, and, I felt like I pushed myself more there. So, and without the red dot was not going to happen.
No. Zoo City is a little bit evil. I love it though, because they make everything really, really hard. And my favorite complaint from shooters this match, which I'm so happy about, was how hard the pistol was, right? And right now, what you don't know too is that the major Zoo City matches have been really heavy on rifle shots, and they still are. They still have really deep, like 650-yard target, 223 rifles out there. And it used to be more rifle. And now where they're forcing pistol instead of shotgun and stuff, you just see some of these 3-gunners that are really good in those other areas struggle. And for once, I'm like, I'm winning the pistol section. Or like, I'm happy that there's pistol, right? And like, even Thomas McCaskill, who's disgustingly good with a Glock, right? How dumb is that? he's out there, and his exact words on stage 4 to me were, "Don't give me the option to shoot this with pistol, because I'm going to shoot it with pistol." And I'm like, "I'm with you, brother." So him and I, we all did pistol at the long range. We're just like, no, we're not going to take a third gun, or like, you have to shoot that from a distance. Okay. Like, anyways, I don't know if you want to speak to the challengingness of 3-gun, where it isn't just 2 on brown. It's not as easy as it looks, because I think that's a big common misconception as well.
Oh, definitely. So I knew that 3-gun was going to be harder for me than shooting like USPSA. I shot production, or I shoot production in USPSA, so I give myself a little bit of an extra challenge there. So I was up for it, but I didn't really know what was going to happen when I got there. I was comfortable with the pistol. Like, that's where I'm happy. That's my happy place. And then when I started getting into like the rifle and the shotgun, I definitely like had to like pull back, because I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I mean, I can obviously, shoot a gun and I'm safe, but like, how do I plan out using 3 different guns on one stage? Can I just use, in my head, when we went to the first local match, it was, can I use just my pistol on this? Like, do I have to use a shot? I mean, learning rules that I was like, I don't know. And that's, but like, I think, kind of jump off a little bit, having you there to help me, and having you as like my, like, Kenzie, like, I can't shoot that with a rifle, right? Like, I have to shoot it with a pistol. Like, I wasn't afraid to ask the dumb question that I just didn't know the answer to.
Yeah.
And I think, as we talk about like how difficult it is, and like just difficulty level, if you don't have somebody to ask those questions to, I can't even imagine beginning to try to step into 3-gun.
Yeah, it sucks.
That was, definitely like such a big thing for me. And then even seeing like stage planning, right? Like stage planning 3 guns, or even 2 guns, where do you change? Do I, again, the weird thing, like, I can hot reholster. Mm-hmm. Freaked my world out real bad. real bad. And all of those things, it was wild to me. I mean, it still is. But, I just saw that, what is it, Battle for the South, or the one this spring is up. And I'm like, hey, maybe we need to go shoot that.
I think so. And registration, guys, all this episode won't be out in time, but December 1st. So registration for us opens in 2 days. I'm registering. I think you should.
I mean, I think I'm going to.
There we go. I think you should. Maybe we find a third helpless soul to join it.
Yes. Just bring them all in.
Yes. Okay. I want to I know this whole episode's going to be around 3-gun for sure. But let's back up, because you brought it up. I forgot to touch on this. So Brooke sends me a text, and I was like, you know what? Just sign up for a fall brawl. We'll figure out in between. We'll find something to shoot, right? And thank God I had a period of time that I was free, and you're not far from it. So we shot a Zoo City local match, which there is you already know like Zoo City, because that's your area in terms of like the caliber of local matches they put on. But for people listening, like, you don't understand, they put on a mini major. They even had a shotgun jungle run right at this local match, which is what we need, which is why those shooters up there are so damn good. So you guys, it's not fair. We went to the local, and we both learned some lessons, because I'm newer to the Genesis Arms 12 gauge shotgun. Obviously I didn't have all the clips and all the things set up, because I didn't have my gun yet, but it was interesting because we both were learning. How much did that first match kind of help you prepare mindset, physically, mentally, all of that?
Yeah, I think that if we wouldn't have done that first local match, I would have been so far out of anything that I probably would have sat there in the corner and just been like, okay, I'm okay, just rocking. No, and you're right. Like, that local match honestly made me feel really good about the major match, mostly because I was like, okay, I know, the type of matches the city puts on, but also when we got out there, I was like, oh, okay, I see, how this is kind of like it was when we were at the local match.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the jungle run, both of them.
Your least favorite stages.
Oh my gosh. I want to love it and I want to be like, yes.
Right.
But it's so hard. But it's also, it's a great learning experience. It's super humbling. We talk about physicality. Like, I had no idea how heavy, whether it's an open shotgun or, Tac Ops or anything like that, like, it's heavy. And I was not prepared for that. I did try to like beef up a little bit for Fall Brawl. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily know that I did, but I tried. And that,
and yeah.
Yeah, like that was just huge. I mean, like, it's like 2 steps. Okay, down and up and down and up and, trying not to chicken wing.
Yes. Yes.
That was like crazy. But I think that local match was just like such a good stepping stone to getting into like Fall Brawl.
Yeah, 100%. And I wish I had something like that closer to me because Matt Martini, man, he said it so great to me because I get on a stage and again, I'm borrowing mags. I'm using a like T&E shotgun, right? And like I didn't even have, like I said, clips. So I'm literally borrowing mags because there's nothing for us to hang stuff off of. And it's a local match where it's like we could hand each other mags, like whatever. But I really want to try to run it like I would in a major match. And golly, it was eye-opening when I told Matt, I was like, okay, like I could like you're saying, like I could pistol all of this and then just shoot pistol and rifle, right? He's like, but what are you here to practice? And I was like, oh, you're right, Matt. Like, oh, because I'm learning a mod choke. I've never shot a mod choke through a tube gun. So now I'm shooting an open gun with a mod choke. So that was a little bit of a learning curve too, which people don't understand, like patterning shotguns is a whole thing too. And then, yeah, so I would learn what worked, what I needed to do, how to move with the shotgun, a little bit different, obviously with the functionality where I even froze and freaked out at the local, and you watch me do it. I dropped the mag twice. I don't even know why I hit the mag release. Matt's like, the first thing you did was pick up the shotgun and drop the mag. I was like, cool. So like, Jesus. So even someone as me that's like, been in it for a while, when you're switching platforms and then you're going to a local, you have to make it a practice. You have to do the things that you need to work on. And that's what I've been doing really good in 2023 is like working on the crap that I suck at all the time. Like just, I make it painful. So I wanted to talk to you about like, what was going through your mind, not towards me necessarily, like, but what was going in your mind of like mental stuff just during that match?
The local or Fall Brawl?
Local. I'm still on the local. I want to know like,
okay, all right. Listen, I'm like, hold on. There's two totally different things, but two very overwhelmed Brooks in there. So the first match, I was truly just trying to like keep my head above water because it was. We were in an area. We're in an area that has such good shooters, and we had a squad that was like made up of.
Yeah.
like the creme de la creme. And so we walk up and I'm like, oh good, this is going to be great. Right. But like, it's kind of like you said with Matt, like he was like, hey, like, what do you want to work on? Like, look at this, look at this, look at this. Like after the first stage, I felt so much better. Like,
well, we started
three gunners
run. So that was,
yeah. Well, but I think that like 3-gun shooters are some of the nicest people that I've ever met. They are so willing to be like, hey, try this, do this. And I've had that, experience in USPSA and Steel Challenge as well. But I really felt like, the guys that we were shooting with were just like, hey, like, I'm so glad you're here. I don't care, one, that you're a female. I don't care that you suck. Like, you're just here to shoot and have fun. And that is like a big deal.
Yeah. They didn't say that, but I hear you.
Right? Like, that's the, in my head, I'm like, that's what they're thinking. Like, oh gosh, like here I am. But, as the day progressed, like I felt better about what we were doing. While I still couldn't stage plan and I still can't very well, I progressed to where I'm like, okay, I understand why I want to use the shotgun here. I understand why I want to use the rifle here. and I know even at the local match, like there were times where you used the rifle or the shotgun, and I was like, "There's not a chance. Like, not a chance. I am not comfortable enough right now. I'm just going to use my pistol. We are good. That's where we are." But that each stage, like every stage, I really felt better about what I was doing, and I think some of that also comes to like my ability to be able to like handle the firearm. Like, am I being safe with the rifle? Am I being safe with the shotgun? Am I manipulating the controls right? And I don't know if I told you, but the weekend before we went out there, I actually went out with my husband, and I was like, all right, I have got to practice with your AR how to like safety on, safety off, like, move while shooting, do those things. And so I think I have some videos in my phone of me doing it. And I'm like, I look crazy, but I'm so glad that I did that before we went. Yeah. And then, again, like that progression of things, like I did it there, then I did it at the local match, and then we go out to Fall Brawl, and I definitely felt more comfortable, and like my abilities were not quite as sketchy.
So if you shot PCC and USPSA on an AR platform, you'd be 2,000 times better than you think with a rifle.
Yeah. I just can't imagine shooting it with a PCC. I know that's really funny, but I'm like, I just don't get it.
So fun. It's so fun. And my friend Jeremy, like, he made a good comment to me. He's like, you're a better rifleman than you are a shotgunner. And like, that is true to an extent of, because I've been around the platform longer. It's like, you're right. Like, I've been shooting a PCC with the same AR controls. I've been moving it, shouldering it, moving through walls, right? And that's the same stuff we have to do in 3-gun, where I'm like, ugh, like, I hate that you're right. Or like, even the AK matches that they have, carbine matches, there's just more of them to be able to do that. So I'll leave that little tidbit there that could help you. So, okay, let's progress leading up to Fall Brawl. I want to know probably stuff you haven't even told me. Maybe you have, because I know you shot a little bit of a tube gun, and we're considering tube gun and all of that. Like, you were like, okay, yeah. You did spend a lot of time. So in 3-gun, we shoot with Safariland ELS because it's easy to swap gear. And you're like, I'm going to bring mag pouches and bring a holster. I got a holster made, bless your heart. You came with a pistol that you wanted to shoot that never happened. So what was going up leading to it? I want to know the long story, and I want to know like the physical, the mental, the gear stuff. Like, what were you doing to prepare?
So you're right. Like I was really nervous about the open shotgun. Yeah. I had a lot of malfunctions when we were at the local, but again, like that was that learning piece of it. Like, I learned that I was not shouldering the gun. I was not leaning into it. I was causing the malfunctions. So, I knew, so I knew it. So while I didn't have an open shotgun to like practice with, even just the tube shotgun, I was like making sure that I did do some dry fire, like just pulling it into my shoulder, getting it in there. I'm super, like, again, like the Zoo City guys are amazing. We went to one of our USPSA matches, and they sent me home with a shotgun because I was, a tube shotgun, because I was like, I don't know if I can, do the open shotgun. And they set me up, like they sent me home with a shotgun to use. They sent me home with like mag carriers, and they're like, you can do it. Like, it was one of the funniest days because we got rained out for the match, and we just sat there and talked about 3-gun for probably like 2 hours. And so I was like pumped for Fall Brawl because I was like, okay, I can do this. Then I actually tried quad load, and it was ugly and it was terrible. And so I was like, you know what? For my first major match, I'm just not going to. I'm going to, kind of hope and pray that I don't cause malfunctions in the shotgun, which I think I only had one malfunction. Yeah, you had one. I had one, and I know mine was from not shouldering it when I was about to leave a position. It was my very last shot, and we didn't have a third-person camera because I was a shoot house, but I knew on my head camera where I just like pulled it off, was like air gun, and I'm like, cool, and it wasn't a big deal, cleared pretty fast. But yeah, I think it was 1-1, and your reason was it was a slug, and you did not shoulder that well at all, so like it literally stayed in the gun. Yeah, it didn't come out, so it was an easy thing to clear, and it was just a hiccup where it's like and that's awesome. We shot
By the way, I did the math. It was like 480 rounds together, like combined, and the round count was supposed to be like 200-ish shotgun, which we did different stage plans where we didn't use shotgun, where other people did, and that worked out really well. But yeah, 480 shots and had 2.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I that was probably one of my proudest moments about Fall Brawl was that. I was like, oh my gosh, because I knew that any malfunction that happened was going to be my fault. I knew it was. So, but I guess kind of going back to that, I didn't do as much with the shotgun as I probably should have prior to.
I will say that that's a fair assessment. Yeah.
Yeah. But then it was, like the rifle piece of it. I really was just trying to be more aware of where I was spatially. Yeah. Because I just felt like I didn't know where I was, and again, I don't shoot rifles and it's just not what I do. So I tried to spend a little bit of time working on that, again, just like that, like malfunction drills. And honestly, and it sounds crazy, that was probably one of the biggest things that I had to do, because I wasn't used to having to clear that malfunction. Again, proud moment on the shotgun. Like, I cleared the malfunction and I didn't have to have you help me.
I don't think I touched any of your guns the whole time. Like, that was not an issue at all. And the rifle,
I don't think so.
Malfunctions on the rifle. I don't think we did.
No.
It was 0. Yeah.
No, none at all. And so like that was kind of what I worked on, so that again I could do that. Pistol wise, I just went out and shot USPSA matches because that's what I do.
So I was not disappointed. Don't take this that way. I have to laugh at where I was at in 3-gun, because I would forget that like ammo is not just like unlimited. And I was like, Brooke forgot to reload on one stage. I was like, hold on. I was like, she's shooting 3-gun. She's overwhelmed. There's 3 platforms. And I was like, that's not like her. That's not. And that, like, it's the one thing where you and I talked where it's like, I'm not going to coach her on pistol because like she needs to learn that in 3-gun world. And I was like, maybe I should have coached her on pistol. You might want to reload.
Yeah, well, and you're right though, because again, I'm like, I have all this ammo in the world, going from 10 rounds to like 23 or 21 somewhere in there. I'm like, all of the rounds, it's fine. And there were a couple of times where I just didn't realize that I had gone. I was like, oh my gosh, I just sat there and did stupid things, made stupid misses, and I just sat there and just like, I'm going to get it. Yes. And then there's slide lock, or I'm out. Yeah, so those were definitely like my low moments where I was like, I should not have been as bad as I was with the pistol.
We weren't bad at it. It's something where like even the best pistol shooters, or like the people that's what they do right there, they're lost in like, oh my god, I'm overwhelmed. And it's like with 3-gun, I'll just say I interrupted myself, but like you have to break apart a stage. Like, and I know that was something that was new to you too, is like, you've got pistol, rifle, shotgun, maybe you have slugs, maybe you have long range and burner rifle, and maybe you got to remember a transition. Maybe, you have to reholster a pistol because in case you need it later. And it's so overwhelming that I think a lot of shooters come in trying to take that and digest it all at once, where I think you sort of learned how all of us break down sections or pieces of the puzzle so that we're like, okay, we only need to worry about this. Okay, and then let's get that down, and then let's get the second section. And so that's something that I've just been more calmer about, because I know how long these stages take. It was so cute. You finish on a stage, and then you're like, when did I time out? And it was a shotgun one. I was like, dude, you had a minute and a half left. Like, there's no timing out on this stage. And I was like, when did you hear a beep? Like, you're just like, what? And I was like, no, like, you have forever. But it feels longer in your mind. Okay, so I progressed. But yeah, breaking down the stages to remember even the slightest and smallest reloads, like, yeah, to be good at 3 platforms, it's not easy.
No, it's not. And I knew that it wasn't going to be easy, but I didn't think it was going to be as hard as it was.
Or that you would trip up on your favorite gun, like the easiest gun, right? You're like, this gun. Like,
yeah. Yeah. And it's definitely that weird piece of like, how do I stage plan? Because again, I was like, I'm going to be able to remember what I'm supposed to do. I do it when I shoot, the USPSA matches. Like I felt like I should be able to do this, but then you get into it, and again, 3 different platforms, and in my mind, I'm I want it to all work together. I want to remember all of it. Yeah. And then when we started talking about like, okay, breaking it down into that section, here is this, like, this is when we're going to do this. It started making more sense. Now that definitely doesn't mean that I get it, but I understand the better way to like break things down.
Yeah. Okay, so with the like going into the very first stage, people don't know this, and I want to talk about it because I am proud of you and I am frustrated for you. You brought your gun, you had it all set up, you got a holster made with a hood, and you're ready to go. That damn optic was like brand new battery, and it kept going out on Brooke, and Brooke somehow point shot a double Texas Star, or no, it was the Polish plate rack, sorry, double Polish plate rack. One though was fixed with penalty targets, and then one behind it was one that was rotating, and you had to shoot probably like 60 pistol shots, maybe more, without a doubt. Yeah. So can you speak to how all the practice and preparation and gear and, you know, all of that can just go out the window as soon as you get to a major match?
Oh, absolutely. I've never had like a gun issue at a local match, at a major match when we've shot like USPSA. I've never had a gun go down. Nothing. Never. Ever. So.
No, you thought Brooke and Kenzie's a safe bet to hang out with. She never has a problem.
No, never. It's going to be okay. No, you put the curse on me. No. So, yeah, but I had shot a couple of USPSA matches with the gun, with the optic. Everything was going well. I was like, awesome. I'm going to take this out just because I felt more comfortable, obviously, shooting, my Shadow 2 versus the Rival, which was awesome. Still awesome, by the way. Like, I still loved it. I came home and told Jason how awesome it was. But, but I was like, this is going to work, get in there, get to the very first stage. I turned the optic on, turned it off, racked it. Everything was going to be good. Get in there. And I'm nervous. Like I was doing okay up until like we got in and like beep goes, right? And then all of a sudden I can just feel myself go, I'm so nervous. And I can feel myself like shaking a little bit, like all the nerves, all of them. And then, get through the shotgun, don't have any shotguns or issues with the shotgun. You like switch over to the pistol. And I'm like, okay, got it. Wait, what? What? And I know, I'm pretty sure I held my breath for a solid 30 seconds while I was trying to figure out, is it me, right? Am I, fishing? I'm sitting there fishing for the dot, trying to figure it out. And then all of a sudden I realized, oh, it's not that. It's my dot is gone. And, kind of came in and out. And thank goodness, so like, I will say what's really nice that I had with that is that I knew where my dot was. I knew that based off of where my front sight was, that if I saw it there, I should be there. And then I was just kind of like point shooting and hoping that I got through the stage because I didn't want to give up.
Yeah, without timing out, you didn't give up. I could hear your frustration. I could feel your frustration. And it hurt. I mean, every shooter out there was just like, oh, and it's like first stage. We're so excited for you to shoot. And then I'm like, this is the worst experience ever. She's never coming back. Perfect.
Yeah. I think I was just so mad at that point at the gun, not at like the experience. Cause I was like, and it's funny that we started on the shoot house, which was definitely like, I was like, yes, this is like my kind of style, right? It was a little more like USPSA feeling, and just like how my mind like broke it up and everything like that. I was like, okay, I got this. And then that happened and I was like, okay. But I got through it and like, I was really happy afterwards that I pushed through it. And honestly, the hearing the like, hey, good job, from like the squad, from the, the ROs that, hey, like you pushed through, like, that's awesome. Those little things. And I think that people forget about it as we've, been shooting more, you forget that like those little tidbits, like, hey, you did a good job, like way to keep pushing, matter. And they really can make or break somebody's match. Yeah. That was the first stage of three days. And I think if I would have seen everybody hang their head and just be like, "Ooh, that sucks," it wouldn't have been the same.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. And kudos to you, because bless your heart, I was like, Brooke's either gonna, and I did this couple times too. I was like, Brooke's either gonna do it the easier way of like pistol this, come back to this, come to all the positions twice, right? Or I was like, you know what? We're here to major, and you were allowed to be coached and shot for no score. But I was like, we're gonna make Brooke shoot this the way the big dogs would shoot it, and the way we want to do that, which for you was bird, bird, slug, 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 another window, slug, 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 bird, bird, into another window, bird, bird, like. And I was like, I'm not scared or nervous about that, because I knew like it was the easier part from the get-go when it starts at the stage. When it gets towards the end, and you have to remember how many slugs did I load in here, and there is a danger factor to that, because you can't slug steel, and like there's a lot of. But I was really proud of you, because if people don't know that too, is like you did the stage plan that we came up with mixing bird, slug, bird. And look how much easier it was too to eliminate a whole position, 2 positions, and you never had to come back to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I almost fought you on it. Like, I was like, I don't know. I wasn't sure. I was real nervous about that. And I'm also glad that was in the first stage, because then when we got to some of the other stages where it was, the slugs and then the bird, I was like, oh, okay, I can remember this. I can do this.
Yes. And again, I'm going back to open, because for other people that like me, that I've done this before where I absolutely hate it, can you imagine? Picture this, Brooke. There are people out there like me and other idiots that will take four of a quad, right? And 2 of them are bird and 2 of them are slug. And when you put them in there, you have to remember that the bird's going first, the slug's going the second. Then in the chamber, there might be a bird, so you have to burn the bird before the slugs arrive. Now imagine shooting 3 gun with a tube shotgun.
I cannot even imagine that.
It's so much fun though. But yeah, there is an art form to the quad loading, but there's a lot more. So shooting an open shotgun, again, I go back to Genesis Arms, man, because especially me, like, it's just so much more fun. It's just easier when you can stack them in a certain way, and you're not having to load them on the clock and remember what's where.
Yeah.
If you drop around, which I've done this too, if you drop around when you're loading too, and you needed that, like, for the round count, like, you're completely screwed.
I think that's what like probably scares me the most, is I'm like, okay, I know, I'm pulling. Okay, I can do this. But yeah, you lose something, and now all of a sudden everything is gone. Like, yes. I think that my mind would melt down. I think that I would just be like, we
gotta load the shotgun, guys, on the clock. Let's go.
Like, we gotta redo this.
Yes. So we had not so good luck on the second stage, I will say that, with your pistol. And so you tried twice, and we grounded the pistol, and then we end up, going to the backup Canic Rival S, which I brought, which thank God I brought. So the joke is that 3-gun Kenzie, it takes 3 guns for me to get through 1 match with 1-gun matches. And so now it's like, I bring 6 guns to a 3-gun match. It's like, it's not funny. But we did it.
It's a little funny.
A little funny. The mod choke really does perform well if you know it and you do it correctly, and you did. So what I didn't do, and what all the other guys didn't do, but what Brooke did, was not shoot for no shoots. So give Brooke a point, guys.
Yay!
And you spun both shotgun spinners, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there are a lot of wins that I don't think, again, you realize. So this whole episode just going to be like pumping Brooke up. But guys, like, you're going to show up to a 3-gun match and has never seen a pistol spinner, shotgun spinners. Thank God we didn't have any rifle spinners, slug targets, slug and bird mix targets, long range shooting with wind. Like, there's so much that goes into this. And then every barrier prop, shooting out of a school bus. I mean, okay, we'll get into that. But how much of a win did you take away from the shotgun once you shot that section?
Oh, that was like the first spinner with the 2 aerials that like popped out. I mean, to be fair, I thought that I missed them, because I saw the poof, if you will, but I was like, I was not 100% sure, but I was like, I aimed, I got, but when I realized that, like, one, I got the shotgun spinner, like, efficiently, like, I didn't have to, shoot a ton at there. Like, I did the 2-1-2-1, and bam, it was over. I was giddy, like, giddy with that, because I mean, well, you saw, like, I struggled so much at the local match with the shotgun that I was like, okay, all right, like, maybe I can do this. And when that happened, I truly was like so excited. And well, you saw at the end of the match, like, I am a bit emotional of a person. Like, I'm happy I cry, I'm sad I cry. Like, and there are so many moments during the match that I had to like stop myself and be like, you're a big girl. Don't like, and more so not because like I was frustrated or anything like that, but like holy crap, like I made it through. Like I made it through that stage. It was stage nine. Was it the first, like, well yeah, we started on 8, right?
9 was the stupid bus. Yeah, but it's not that bad.
9 was okay. So I thought 9 was the tire.
No, tire was. Oh, it was 9. 8 was okay. No, 8 was tire. I don't remember. 9 was tire. Sure, tire.
Yeah, 9 was a tire. Yeah, okay. Because like we got, when we got to 9 and we did those long range targets, I was so stinking excited. Like, I mean, well, because at the local match, like I didn't hit a single long range target.
That's my fault.
Well, and I don't blame you at all. But it was just like, I was like, okay, I don't know if I know what I'm doing. And I truly think that even if everything would have been perfect at the local match, I don't think I would have hit the broadside of a barn. I thought I understood like holds and things like that and where I needed to be. But when we went over it again, kind of going into the long range targets, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like I've got it now. Yeah. See it. I think I know what I did.
What's interesting to me is I have been, as a PRS shooter this year on an amateur side, I've been coached and mentored by pro, like Ryan, and then other pros too, just like talking to them, right? And here's what I learned too, because of how this relates to you, is that there were several hiccups I found out along the way of being taught where it's like, Ryan and I didn't know to communicate this till later, and we figured it out. It's like, okay, bag size and bipod height are person specific. They're not going to fit everybody because they're different body sizes. Maybe they get low on the gun. They have a different cheek weld. Like there's so many factors, right? And so for me, same thing kind of with you is like, I had to ask you on day 2, I think it was, of like, what coaching is working, what coaching is annoying, what do you want to hear, what do you not want to hear, what stuff where, and I told you a couple times where I was like, I can't help you with that because it's a personal decision. Because I think it was where to put stuff. I was like, I can't tell you that because legitimately if I tell you, it's going to be wrong. And I learned that this year from being not even taught wrong, but it was something where it doesn't fit this 2 people, right? So, and I know I made some mistakes probably coaching along the way. How well did I set you up for success? On live.
So, I mean, honest to goodness, like, I think there was only one time where I was frustrated, but it's because I didn't communicate with you where I changed my stage plan to where you had versus what you were doing. Because for the most part, like, I basically just like did your stage plan. I was like, hey, cool, you got it. Like, I think I can do that, with maybe a slight modification in there. And maybe it's because like I'm good at tuning things out. Like I can hear things, but like, especially in the moment, I'm good at just like, but it was the other like kind of like jungle run.
Yeah, it was when you were going to pull the rifle out. You were going to do 3 paper at the end with the rifle, and then I remember that vividly. And I was like, "Don't forget the paper!" And then like you had your pistol in your hand. And you're like, "Cool, paper now!" And I'm like, "Shoot!"
Like it's okay. I'm like, okay.
But I had no idea you were going to change the plan, and I didn't want you to forget targets. Not that I thought you would, but it's something where at the end of the stage, after going through 3 different guns, I was like, "Oh God, like what's next?"
Yeah, like what's going to happen?
Yeah.
But really, like I felt like you asked me like, do you get this? Do you see this? Like, making sure that like ahead of time before we were like actually going through and running the stage, that we're on the same page, like knew, understood, again, talking about like, okay, you have 4 slugs, and you have 2 targets. So are you going to burn them or are you going to rack them out? And, and for me, it was just, I'm just going to burn them, I'm like, oh God, there's, all the money, all the slugs, but it was still, that was just that piece for me was going to be easier. But like talking about it really helped me be able to visualize it as I was doing my walkthroughs. Then when I'm there, I'm like, okay, there's one, there's two, got to burn the other ones, or, on the jungle run, where I think that was one of the ones that I missed. I shot, 2 slugs of the first one, and then I was like, all right, if I can't, I want to.
So mad about that still. Not all of us, but like you missed it, Scott missed it, I missed it, like nailed the first one and missed it, and then I had 3 more and missed the second one. To be fair, to be honest, and I've thought about this in my sleep, is that both slug targets on that stage on the shotgun jungle run were the 2 hardest targets of the entire match because of how small they were, how far they were, and it was just so challenging. That's where I think there was 5 people I looked at the scores that didn't miss it, and the rest did. At least one.
Wow.
Yeah. Practice a lot. Could be wrong, but that's when I looked at it at the time. So I don't know if that was during final or not. I was like, oh, there was a lot of other people that also had a slug miss, and yes, painful.
Yeah. That was the hard one. But I guess getting back to easy to diverge or digress. But I think again that communication piece helped me so much, because I know that I was not going to remember so many things. I absolutely needed that coaching. I felt really good when people were like, you should have shot this for score. Right. And I'm like, okay, like, oh, there's the warm and fuzzies. Like, I feel really good about that, right? Like, okay, like people feel like, again, I'm safe. Like, I'm not doing anything stupid, but I know that I could not have shot the match that I shot and had as much fun as I had if I didn't have you coaching me. Like 100% made the difference.
Yeah. I think it sucks that like for, again, major match, you're shooting for score and people don't want to see scores, where you're above them because you had coaching, right? But it was good, like just because that's a first major and there's a lot going on. So the moral of that story, I think, for people listening too, is that if you can get people into 3-gun or PRS or whatever shooting sport it is, if you can coach them and they shoot for no score through a major match, like they're going to have 10 times more fun and then sign up, for Battle for the South in the spring. But I will say my favorite comment too was when it was Jason. It was after you got done with long range and I was just yelling the mills and you hit and you hit and you hit. And then he was like, what kind of scheme are you two running here?
That was actually probably the first thing I came home and told my Jason, my husband, was like, yeah. I'm like, no, really, no, because when I hit them, I was like, oh.
Yeah, yes. Now, okay, setting you up for success, I wanted to ask about this too. Do you think, and you've never shot it, so you won't really know, but like shooting Tac Ops, again, you go to iron sights on a pistol. You could shoot modified. Modified, you could have red dot on a pistol, red dot on a shotgun, but it has to be a tube shotgun, so you still have to load. Modified, you can use a bipod now, but like open, we used a tripod, we used a rear bag, we used there's a lot of, I get that there's a lot more gear, right? But do you think that the barrier to entry was a lot less intimidating shooting open and having all the support and stability versus having to shoot off of a couple magazine or not having a tripod and having to freehand that? Like, do you think that open is actually easier for newer shooters in 3-gun, or do you think it's more challenging?
So I think that it's definitely easier. I think that, being able to start out having things that help me make things suck less is huge, right? Like going out there and, like, again, we talk very specifically about shotgun. Like that piece of it is such a bear, learning to quad load, doing all of that. Like that in and of itself is like one huge thing. But then, you talk about, shooting, Tac Ops and the rifle without even a bipod. I cannot imagine shooting those long range targets like all the guys who had Tac Ops or the ladies in Tac Ops that did it. Yeah. I was like, holy cow. I can't imagine doing that. Now, I have thoughts of, I'm going to do great things. Probably not, but will I someday try like Tac Ops because I want to see if I can do it? Yeah. But like for me, that's that like, okay, I'm going to go from here where I know, okay, I have a little better chance of like having a better day to I
Yes.
I know that this is going to be hard, and at the end of the day, like I'm probably going to be a little more demoralized than I am shooting open. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but like we talk about like it's a great way to start, but it's also the hardest place to start. From just like gear, like just sheer cost of things. But like that's where again having you has made this such an amazing experience because I wouldn't have that if I didn't have you, right? Like if you weren't like, hey, use my guns,
Yep.
like shoot some of my ammo, like do these things, like I wouldn't have done it. I probably wouldn't have shot three gun for a much longer time, years, because I would have been like, oh god, how am I going to do this? And yeah, just I mean, having that mentor who pushes you through, who helps you through, is everything.
Yeah.
Because I know that I would not have enjoyed things the way that I did without having you.
That's the same as I feel even with shooting with like my friends, like Scott for sure, and Rob and everybody that like I've been able to squad with over the years. There's been some of the best squads ever that like you see it too, is that even though like I would be by myself, right, without if you didn't go, and that makes it so much more fun, by the way. Same on my side. That was epic. I loved our 7 p.m. bedtimes. The fun of it and the joy of it also comes from like having good squad where like you saw all of us talking of like, hey, are you gonna pistol this? Like we really did come down the wire on that one stage where me, Thomas, a couple others were like, are we just gonna pistol this whole thing? Like, are we gonna even pull the rifle? And we were like, no, we're gonna pistol the whole thing.
Damn.
Stage playing helps, and I know everybody does that in USPSA as well. It's so much more freeing in three gun. I think there's a lot less intimidation with like the firearms manipulation too, in terms of like I get that there's super strict rules, and we're still super safe on the range with three gun. It's just something where our stages too are even designed to be safe, to reset while someone's shooting all the way at the end of the lane or whatever. And I gotta ask this too. What was your absolute favorite stage, favorite section, favorite whatever that you took away from the Zoo City Fall Brawl?
So my favorite stage, and I think it's because I was so shocked, was 9.
I hate you. I hated that stage.
Because I mean, I did not think that I would hit, because on 8, right, shooting out of the
bus sucked. Yeah, window,
just no.
window, and then you had to shoot over a seat off of this like roof. Yeah.
I don't think that I hit any of the long range targets on that one. I shot at them.
No, I think you hit the 2 on the left, or at least 1 on the left. I think you hit 2 on the right. No. I'm gonna go look. Keep going.
Okay. I just like that one. I just did not like. I hated 8. That was probably the worst one for me. But 9, going from 8 to 9.
They delete all your out of practice more, and I forgot that, and that's so frustrating. But I swear you hit stuff. Okay, yes, going from 8.
But I think we have the video, so I can go back and figure it out. But 9 was really where I was like, oh my gosh, like I hit long range targets.
9 of them.
Yeah. No, I didn't get all of them.
Still, it doesn't matter. There was a lot. It was a lot.
Yeah, but like I was like, oh my gosh, I just hit that target at over 500 yards, and then and I still like I wish that I would have been like, can I just take this shot, even though because that was one of the stages that I timed out on, is because I had just taken that first shot at the.
Sorry. I did too. Remember that? Remember that timeout?
Yeah, I was like, oh. No. But that's what I was like, no, I'm not. I have plenty of time, and then I really did time out. But I was like, that was where I was like, oh, I knew where that first shot hit, and I was like, I know all I have to do is just wiggle, like, just that much. I was like, and I was going to hit, was it 625? Is that what it was?
650.
Yeah, and I was like, and then it timed out. But I mean, that for me was the stage where I think that I got really excited.
Yeah.
I was like,
the next day, the day after, the third day was when you had me not call the mill holes. You read off the card. You're like, I want to do this. They were under 350, but there was a plate rack. There was, anyways, and you did it on your own.
Yeah. And I definitely did. I was like, I've got to try to do one, you know, by myself, like try to.
That's a good one to do that on.
Yeah. So, but that was my favorite stage. Now, which one was your favorite stage?
I mean, I love shoot houses, and I was mad that was our first stage because I shot 2 targets twice for no reason. Like, it just took me forever. So I don't even want to say that one. I still think stage 4 was so funny. I don't have a favorite. I have sections. Like the section with the shotgun on 4, even though I missed the clay, was really fun with the slugs and like all of that movement. 3 was still a blast. Like all 3 guns, super clean run, super fast. And I was like, huh. When I came out, I remember I had 1 round left in the shotgun. Like I had run 19 rounds and I think it was only like 15 shots. And I was like, perfect job, Kenzie. But when I just like watch my pistol shooting, I think that's where I'm just really proud. Like I know I don't need to, I need to practice everything. I'm not saying that. I'm saying like, I love pistol shooting too much that I really need to go back to shotgun. I need to go back to rifle, right? So like when I shot that Nighthawk on that stage 3 and had no pickups and had those 3 long range shots and all the steel and the paper, I was like, wow. I was just happy with 1 mag. And I think it was like 25 shots or something and a 29 round mag. I was like, oh, I'm happy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There are definitely like spots. What was it? We started on 2 or no 1.
Oh, day 1, yeah.
The second day.
Power, yeah.
Yeah, I loved that. That was just fun.
That was fun.
Right? Like, that was the only one that we went, like, truly went prone in. And you didn't have to, but we did. And, you know, that was just, you know, a different experience, but it was fun. Again, hitting the long range targets was absolutely, like, my favorite part. It doesn't matter which long range target it was, because I've never thought that I would be able to hit something at like long range. It's just not something I've ever really done.
You and me both, girl. When I cleaned a stage at PRS, I couldn't think that would happen. Then I'm like, all right, can I transfer these skills over to a 223 bullet? And I didn't do great, but I was like, I made a big difference. So because that is the toughest gun. I really think it is. I mean, shotgun, you're going to have 50-yard, 100-yard slugs, maybe pistol stuff. You're still going to have far, hard shots. But like, when do you get to shoot at that distance in an action shooting sport? Yeah, you don't.
Yeah. And that's what we talk about, like, you know, starting in open versus starting in modified versus starting in Tac Ops. Like, having that tripod on those stages was like money.
Oh, the tripod,
right?
Like when you're running up and just resting the gun, ding, 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 and you're off. Yeah.
Yes.
You got to learn too of the tripod as a rear support, where we put our arm on it and then we shot up the barrier and stuff. And so like, there's a lot when it sounds, gear can be overwhelming too. And I think the simplification of just having less stuff, like, I won't name names, like poor buddy that just wanted 12 bags and 12 tripods. I'm like, bro, like it is too much. It is too overwhelming. But to learn the finesse or the perfect technique of using one thing really well really will help you in open.
Yeah, definitely. I will say, like, my biggest takeaway of things that I like need to do differently, and I will do differently, is that I'm not as tall as I think I am.
I knew that was coming. Damn it.
I'm not as tall as I think I am. And if I think it's short enough, it's not.
Yeah. Because that was one stage for sure that we needed the pallet. And then I think there was just like adjusting all the tripod height all the time, that maybe we could even dropped even more and had you almost like bending to just, yeah.
and you know, but I'm like, no, like, yeah, this feels okay. And then like all of a sudden you're in it and you're doing it. And yeah. And I didn't realize that I'm like standing on my tippy toes. No one's fault but my own, right? Like,
yeah,
totally. But now I know, like, I will take every advantage. I will make sure that I have, you know, that pallet to stand on because I'm short.
And that's one of those things where I tried to help as best I could, and you're like, yeah, and the make ready, it looked good. It did look good. And then it's like, oh, we didn't do it enough. And so that's one of those things, again, about coaching, where it's like, I can't help you on bipod height, bags, and now I can't help you on tripod height and knowing if you can reach a barrier. So that's on you now. Yes.
Yeah.
That'll be my response next time when you say no. I'll be like, yes.
Yeah. I don't know. Probably my very favorite moment of the match was when we were on 9 and you were looking out of the spotting scope, right? And you're like, hey, Brooke, come take a look at this. And I walk over and I'm like, okay, I'm looking. I thought you wanted me to look at, like, I was like, okay, cool. And then you're like, no, look at it. And I'm like, Kenzie, I can't. It hits me here.
Yeah, I was like, never mind. That was so dumb. I should have had you like jump on the tailgate and stand up as a normal sized human.
No. Yeah.
That was fun. Well, okay. I know you already talked about the height thing. Is there anything else too that you are, since you're thinking about Battle for the South, what's next for Brooke to go from November to, I think that match is March? I think so. What are you going to do now to get ready, get prepared? Are you going to try to run your own gun again this time? Like, what's next for you progressing in 3-gun?
So I think that, you know, again, I'm going to try to run my gun, just because I would like to see if, you know, I can improve my pistol shooting. I think that I did fairly well, you know, but again, like you go from like the Shadow 2 platform to the Rival.
Fire handgun that's stock with just a dot on it. Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what to do. You know, I do think that I will try to run, you know, my pistol, you know, if you're so kind and let me, you know, run open again, I will probably do open again. I do want to try to shoot modified.
Okay.
But it's not going to happen for the next time, for Battle South. Like it's not going to. Because I want to enjoy myself, right? Like I'm at this point where I'm like, okay, I'm definitely all in on 3-gun. I see, you know, why, like, you've talked about it. I'm like, yeah, 3-gun, it's great, it's whatever. But then, like, doing, especially, you know, this major match, I'm like, I get it. I see why you get into it. I see why people are like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go spend 3 days shooting a match, you know, shoot 3 stages a day. And it's like, God, it's only 3 stages, but it's so much fun. And I want to have one more really fun match before I start trying to do new things, namely quad loading.
Yeah, I think I'm going to bet you $100 right now. If it's not something that you invest in, like if you don't buy a shotgun for this and you just borrow one, I bet $100 that you shoot it once and then you give that shotgun back to the owner and then you go back to open. I'm just going to tell you right now. Like I know what it's like. Because I mean, God bless them. Like some of the best quad loaders out there, like if you think about like Hutch, JK, like Don, like all of them, they quad load in a second. Like, so it's not a hindrance to them. Like, so they can beat people in open and shooting modified. But then like, I just see the other guys with tube guns that I'm just like, I don't envy you. Like this doesn't sound fun, standing and trying to load and missing rounds. And then, oh my God, I don't miss it. I did that. I've done it. I know how to. I don't want to go back.
Right? I just feel like I need to put myself through the pain to do it. But I do. I mean, I think, and going into, you know, Battle for the South, though, like, I think things that I really want to go work on. Oh, look at it. It's beautiful.
Well, I'm going to show you this, and people probably won't watch this episode, but I did 2 things for us for fall or Battle for the South. Is an extended mag release button for our small hands. So now it's right there. It's mag pull done. And can you notice the difference?
Ooh.
Right. 45 degrees. So now when we're pulling the trigger, there is no rubbing on the finger because it's so far away and it's a 45.
That's so nice.
Yep. 2 upgrades. So, you know, like and what's funny, and I just thought about this, my favorite color is teal. Your favorite color is purple. It's both. So I really think open might fit us with this.
Right?
No. But, I mean, that was one of the things where it's like, I finally got, you know, we had that loaner gun before. This is my gun. And so run it in a match. You know, I love encouraging people to shoot guns like stock or how they come, right? And then after you're done, it's like, okay, what do you want it to fit? Do you want to change the stock, change the grip? Maybe you want to, change the throw lever. So it's really nice, like, figure out what works for you and then, you know, customize it to you.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
so I'm excited to go out and shoot again like that. And I think that's, you know, right. Like ultimately that's what everybody wants when you take a new shooter out, is like, you want them to want to come back. And like, I want to come back.
good. Even if we have to wrap like the armbands, I don't know if you saw those with all their dopes, we'll just wrap an armband that says like part 1 of the stage, part 2, 3, like
Yep.
just have like what to do.
Just write it on my arm. Listen, like just a little rubbing alcohol. We can wipe it off for each one. It's fine.
Oh my god, that's what the boys do. No, I'm in a real armband with like a covered thing and a sleeve. We use the cold tack thing for the long range. We don't draw on arms around here.
No.
So awesome. Well, Brooke, is there anything else you want to leave listeners with? Words of encouragement, words of inspiration. You are an inspiration to me, to everyone out there. I am proud of you. You're the 3rd female I've got signed up in the deep end shooting 3-gun action shooting sport, stuff out of their comfort zone. So I'm going to keep on trucking. I want a 4th. I want a 5th. I want to keep doing it, but I'm proud of you. So any final thoughts?
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I think that, really what I want to leave people with is like, if you find a mentor who's like, hey, come out with me. I'll let you use my guns. I'll let you take the opportunity. Take the opportunity. People aren't going to say that and aren't going to offer that if they don't mean it. And, I owe such the biggest thank you to you because, again, without you and without your push and your encouragement, there's absolutely no way that I would have done this. And you encourage in the best way. You really lift people up. You are my hype woman. As we're going through, I felt like you were my hype woman. I knew, even if I did really bad, you were still going to, cheer me on and help me through it. And I think that, it's hard to find people like you. It's hard to find people that you connect with and who are just awesome. And, thank you, it's huge for me that you did that. But I think that, people need to take the chance. If somebody says hey, let's go do this, do it. Take the opportunity to learn something new or do something different because look what it's done. I feel we're better friends because of it. And it's just, I don't know, it's just such a big thing to me now. And because I have you in my life because of this, right. It's just that much better.
I'm the same way. We never shared it because I forgot now that I'm listening to this, is that you DM'd me on Instagram because you saw me signed up for a USPSA match. South Carolina? North Carolina.
North Carolina.
And you're like, I shoot production. I'm not that good. I was going to get on your squad because there's a spot, but I don't want to slow y'all down. And I was like, F that, Brooke. I don't know you, but we all suck. We all are there for fun. I'm shooting a new gun, and abso-freaking-lutely, if you hadn't squatted, I don't know where we would be. First of all, again, this is at the end of the podcast, but we're hanging out. We just meet in person, and Jason Clark was like, do you two long lost best friends? How long have y'all known each other? We're like, right? In person today. And he was like, holy shit, I'm seeing double. Also, there's 4 Jasons that we know now.
So many.
And then from there, what an honor. You came and helped for free at Gals Day at the range. You worked with the double star team, so you got to work with my rifle, work with rifle all day. We ran you through the little barricade box while we were there, and thank you. And I'm proud of you. And you gave back. You're an RO. Again, besties, we never knew it, and I'm so honored, so touched, and so excited. You have no idea, because it's the same thing on my end. Is just, I'm glad you were there, glad you did it, and I can't wait for more. So, well, Brooke, where can people find you on Instagram? What's your username and all of that jazz? And where are you off to next, if you have a schedule yet?
So I don't know next. I think basically for the rest of the year, we're laying pretty low. But you can find me at Brooke Proskovec on Instagram. And that's where all my videos are, good and bad.
Yeah, same. Good and bad. Awesome. Well, listeners, go follow Brooke. If you've got any questions about getting into the sport, you can ask her now too. If anyone listening is feeling the itch for 3-gun, Brooke, should we challenge them to maybe sign up for Battle for the South?
I think we should.
Okay.
We need another new shooter this time.
We do. We'll get 2 coaches running around. We got guns, we got gear. We got all sorts of Zoo City people too that would throw everything at you. So I think that's our challenge.
I like it.
Awesome. Well, Reddit Club listeners, stay tuned for another episode of the Reddit Club podcast coming next week. Be sure to follow, subscribe, do all that jazz, and stay tuned for more. Thanks for listening to the Reticle Up podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Follow along on social media at Reticle Up or 3 Gun Kenzie.